days after the shooting for this to go to the grand jury, which is extremely fast.
Well, let's get more now on this disturbing case from former prosecutor and current criminal defense attorney Tanya Miller. And Tanya, anyone that I've discussed with this case has said, how in the world can anyone accuse a mother of shooting a baby between their own baby right between their eyes? But, you know, it's been 2 days of testimony. I was there for the opening statements yesterday, and the defense brought up some interesting points, right?
Absolutely. Look, everyone will tell you that when a child is murdered, the first person you look at is the parents. You look at the people closest to the child to see if they had any involvement in this case. Everybody from the beginning thought this case was extremely bizarre. You know, when you see shootings happen in the course of armed robberies, oftentimes it's because of the victim resisted or there's some ulterior motive behind it. But for this young man to just shoot this baby between the eyes, it seemed more like an execution than an accidental shooting during the course, or a shooting during the course of an armed robbery. So this mother, we know she has a history of some mental illness. It's been alleged by the defense. We also know that she has some history of substance abuse that has also been alleged by the defense. They have intimated that somehow this was motivated by the mother's desire to collect an insurance policy. There were some questions about how soon she was seeking to collect that money. So there are some gaps in this case that are going to have to be answered by the prosecution at some point during this trial.
Well, and you bring up that life insurance policy, and that was a little bit of a red flag for some folks, because it's not very often that you hear parents taking a life insurance policy out on their kids, although it does happen. And the argument that's brought on the other side is, you know, for funeral expenses, God forbid anything were to ever happen if you don't have the money. Let's get to Dominique Lang's testimony, because the defense admits that this is paramount in this case, and we are hearing from him today, the alleged accomplice to Elkins. Why is he so important?
Well, he's obviously going to be critical to the prosecution's case because he is there. He participated. So presumably, if he's telling the truth, he's in the best position to explain to this jury what happened on the day this killing, what was the motivation, the true motivation behind it. But let me tell you, Lynn, you always have to take accomplice testimony with a grain of salt. He, too, is facing murder charges. He has a motive to tell the prosecution whatever they need to hear in order for them to treat him lightly. So, you know, what you want to do, the main thing the prosecution is going to have to do is not just put up this accomplice, but show how he is corroborated by the evidence, because you can't just take his word for it. And in addition to that, we know that he is 15 years old. That's very young. These kinds of defendants are often prone to false confessions, to being bullied into saying whatever the police want them to hear. So that is going to feature prominently, too. I suspect you're going to hear the defense attorney cross-examining this defendant about lies he told before and whether or not he colored his testimony or his statement to please the police and to get a benefit for himself.
Well, let's not forget, there aren't any other witnesses there on the scene. There were witnesses that heard the gunshots, but they didn't see anyone running away from the scene. They came out there, and all they saw were Shelley West and the baby dead there on the ground. So that's going to be really significant if Lang is the only one that implicates it. Is that going to be difficult for the jury to overcome, that they don't have anyone else's eyeballs there on the scene?
Well, it could be. You know, it definitely could be. It will depend on how successful the defense is in poking holes in this cooperator or accomplice testimony here. The defense is going to have to point out to this jury and convince this jury that this guy is not credible and can't be believed.
All right. Tanya Miller, thank you so much. Some interesting developments there in this case. We're going to continue to watch it right here on HLN. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, well, coming up on Monday, a hearing in the